Mario Bros. Is a franchise loved by so many in the gaming community. Like many of their IPs, Nintendo has constantly marketed and pushed Mario into other mediums besides just gaming. Now, as you probably know, game adaptations into TV shows or movies are surprisingly hard to pull off. And I say surprisingly because game companies do all the hard work making incredible stories, believable characters, beautiful artwork, yet whoever inherits all that media often takes that art in a very questionable direction. For a company that takes very delicate care of their IPs, Nintendo movies have always been incredible. Take the 1993 live-action Mario movie, which was so great that it lost somewhere between $3 and $9 million. But would you believe that this was not Nintendo's first venture into Mario media outside of video games? As far as film and TV goes, this wasn't Nintendo's first attempt. Actually, the first time Mario appeared on television, it wasn't even in a Mario show. In 1983, he appeared in the series Saturday Supercade, which was based on a bunch of video games. Each episode was an hour long and was segmented into 4 15-minute episodes, each of which featured a different face in gaming. One of those plot lines revolved around Donkey Kong and Mario, in a universe where Mario and Pauline owned a circus that Donkey Kong starred in but escaped. These episodes usually involved Donkey Kong being pursued by Mario and Pauline, and he was usually wrapped up in theft or some other weird crime. These episodes include absolute classics like Gorilla Gangster and Get Along Little Apey. I really wish I could have been in the room when they wrote the plots for these episodes. Like, hey man, I got an idea for an episode. Okay. So in this one, Donkey Kong is filling out his taxes and decides not to report the majority of his income. And so Mario partners up with the IRS and hunts him down, at which point Donkey Kong locks himself in a room with 100 bananas, takes hostages, and is eventually tranquilized. Genius. Even though this cartoon has pretty much flown under the radar, I would venture out to say it was not what Nintendo was looking for. Then came Dick Entertainment. Dick Entertainment was founded by Jean Jalopin in France in 1971. By 1982, they had opened an American headquarters in California, and soon after, they started making TV shows about video games. Executive Robbie London said that while not everyone liked making shows about other people's intellectual property, he felt that video games were the perfect medium to work with. They were imaginative and artistic, but at the time had very little lore, leaving a lot of room for creativity in writing. They snagged a contract with Nintendo and made lots of shows with the company, most of which were Mario-based. You've definitely heard of the Super Mario Bros. Super Show.
Do the Mario! Swing your arms from side to side. Come on, it's time to go!
But you might not have heard of Club Mario, King Koopa's Kool Kartoons, The Adventures of Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, Captain N and the Video Game Masters, or Mario All-Stars. So Dick did quite a lot of work for Nintendo, though much of it was to be forgotten. The Super Mario Bros. Show is probably remembered for being so bad that it's good, which isn't necessarily a compliment. Now, let's rewind back to one of those shows I just mentioned, King Koopa's Kool Kartoons. Yes, the acronym is KKKK. Do with that strange information what you will. Have you ever heard of this? Probably not. And have you ever seen a full episode of it? Almost certainly not. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up and get ready for a deep dive into Nintendo's forgotten Mario television show, which remains mostly lost to this day. We'll be talking about its plot, production, and the lost media search surrounding it, even talking about a kid who was on the show. This will be a long ride, so please make sure to stick to the very end. If y'all like any of this content today, please make sure to like and subscribe, which I very much appreciate. You guys have done so much for me since I started this channel, and I couldn't be happier with it. Anyways, thank you for tuning in, and let's get ready to talk about King Koopa's Kool Kartoons. The story of this show, oddly enough, begins with the story of Bozo the Clown, host of the TV show with the same name. Bozo the Clown hosted episodes with a live audience of children from 1946 all the way into the 2000s, and he was played by many different actors. He hosted different bits every time, and the story pioneered the genre of having a hyper-adult host entertaining children in person, which was then broadcast, often just locally. The show inspired countless others like it, including King Koopa's Kool Kartoons, which ran during the 1989 to 1990 holiday season. Like Bozo the Clown often was, King Koopa's Kool Kartoons was shown exclusively in one region, being Southern California. While it's possible there was an intention to expand, the show performed so horribly that expansion was not an option, which is partially why the show was lost. Given that it ran for one season in one area, combined with its poor performance, meaning that any tapes of the show were likely reused and lost, makes it very difficult for preservation. But what was the show even like? Well, to give you a slight idea, let's watch one of the very few clips we actually have, the theme song.
Who calls you a nincompoop? I'm the pain who plays the game, and now she's bored of Loopa. I'm Koopa Koopa. Koopa, king of the afternoon. I'm Koopa Koopa. Koopa, king of the cartoons. I've got to show you better watch. Even when you're grounded, miss it once in a while with luck. But you'll be hounded by King Koopa Koopa. It's my show now!
The clip that follows the theme song is actually a bit of a real episode, so this theme song would play and then the show would follow right after. So that, interesting theme song kind of sets the tone for the rest of this video. King Koopa himself is quite horrifying, having an interesting costume, to say the least. Also, a quick note here. The King Koopa here is based off the one from the TV show, not Bowser as we know him today, which is why his appearance and voice is slightly different than you might expect. In this intro, we also catch a glimpse of this rat abomination, which was actually a rat terrier in a mask named Ratso, King Koopa's sidekick / animal mascot. King Koopa and Ratso assemble an army of kids wearing turtle hats to take over a studio in LA, kicking out a clown and taking over the show. This bit here is very funny. Bowser literally steals the show from a clown, which is kind of like the creators admitting and even poking fun at the fact that this show is a whole rip-off of Bozo the Clown. The only thing that King Koopa did better than Bozo the Clown is that he was somehow more horrifying, which I'll elaborate on in a little bit. But this theme song is really a work of art. Let me read you some of this beautiful poetry. Who calls you a nincompoopa? Koopa. I'm the pain who plays the game, and knocks you for a loopa. This is one show I would love. Baby, you'll be hell youpa. So basically the show worked like this. After the theme song played, King Koopa would do various skits, sort of involving the kids, and at the end of the episode he would give out Nintendo prizes like a Power Glove. Now we don't know what all of these skits were like because most of the content wasn't taped, or at least has been taped and has not been uploaded online, even if it does lurk in someone's basement somewhere. But here's an example of one of these skits, uploaded by this Reddit user who's actually done a ton for this lost media search, and who I'll be talking about later on.
Oh, the birthdays, oh, today's birthday super just had a body of West Covina wins an acclaimed double player remote. Baby Gonzo, oh, I am now the proud father of a baby cosmic potato that's growing before our very eyes. Hey, this daddy thing is so hard, you know what I mean? A nice time of good daddy, pickle mouse. We'll be back. Rock my baby.
What we're looking at here is truly TV magic. A masked man screaming in the face of a fake baby in front of children. I really cannot imagine why this show didn't get a second season. So what else happened on the show? Well, besides these little skits, what happened was that King Koopa would play public domain cartoons from the 1930s and show them to kids. That was the primary form of entertainment. Said cartoons had nothing to do with Mario, but King Koopa showed them nonetheless. Also, throughout the show, King Koopa would read fan mail and host quizzes. You could write down answers to the quizzes and send them into the show, and King Koopa would read it off, probably congratulating whoever won. Now, the fan mail section was really interesting. Lots of parents hated this show, probably because it encourages the kids to behave badly and watch the show, quote, even when they were grounded. When I researched this show, I found this meme which suggested that during the show, King Koopa once read off an angry fan letter and then said, "You could say all you want about me, but I know where you live." The meme further suggested that this threatening behavior was why the show got canceled. Now, this little rumor has spread and changed here and there, and there's some things I want to make clear about it. So, no, this is not what got the show canceled. It never got renewed for another season because it was terrible on the whole. It had nothing to do with this section here. And it wasn't super threatening or revealing of any personal information. But did this happen? According to my sources, yes. Frequently, actually. It was a running joke on the show that if fan mail was negative or criticized the show, King Koopa would tell the person that he knew where they lived. This just keeps getting better and better. It's also very possible that the negative fan mail was faked and written by the studio as part of a joke, but who knows? So yeah, they would read fan mail. With the show not offering much besides public domain cartoons, inappropriate sketches, quizzes and prizes, and fan mail, it's not surprising that it was canceled quicker than a good Star Wars game. So what was the experience for the kids like, you ask? Well, I was actually able to get in touch with a Redditor named Spider Mew who claims to have been on the show. He had a lot to tell me about his experience. He was able to get on the show on October 9th of 1989, which was the day of or around his birthday. He got to meet King Koopa, who was actually pretty quick-witted and funny according to him, and King Koopa wished him a happy birthday. He arrived alongside dozens of other kids at a Los Angeles studio, and they eventually moved into a room where they were separated from their parents, where they got their t-shirts and turtle hats. They were actually able to keep their t-shirts, though Spider Mew eventually lost his. Once the kids got their t-shirts and helmets, they sat down and a guy came out and tried to get them warmed up to the theme of the show. Spider Mew suggested that this was actually King Koopa, but just outside of his suit, but he doesn't know for sure. This guy told some jokes, got the kids in a goofy mood, and kept up the villainous theme of the show, at one point even pointing at confetti at the floor and saying that that was the remains of the children who didn't laugh loud enough. The show then played, and he got to see some crabby cartoons interrupted by King Koopa acting evil in character. He also mentioned that there was a doghouse prop on the set, which flashed lights and made noises, but it didn't really do anything or have anything to do with Ratso. After the show filmed, the kids lined up and put their helmets in a wash bin and headed out. Spider Mew said that it gave him the impression that it was a quick turnaround, and he thinks the show was broadcast very soon after it filmed. He doesn't remember any people who worked on the set, and doesn't quite remember how he got on the show, besides the fact that they ran commercials asking for kids in the area, around 7 or 8 years old, to join the audience. Nowadays, Spider Mew says that the biggest thing he remembers from this experience was that it was a cheap version of Bozo the Clown playing free cartoons, but it was an exciting birthday surprise for him. As far as who specifically worked on the episode, it has been a long time, and I've done some research trying to find writers of the episodes, as have many others on the Lost Media Wiki, but so far my research hasn't really gotten anywhere, and there are 2 people that I know of that are interesting though. The 2 men that played King Koopa in different episodes were Christopher Collins and Pat Piney, both popular voice actors that you probably know of. But now it's time for one of the coolest parts of the video, talking about the Lost Media Hunt. So remember how I said this show was broadcast locally, and for just one winter season. So it was pretty unlikely that you'd actually see it, but for those that did, very few taped it. And why would they? It was terrible. These factors have made it so that this show has started one of the most difficult lost media searches of all time, and certainly one of the most difficult lost media searches for Nintendo content. Though, fortunately, there were a few people who miraculously saved and uploaded footage of King Koopa's Kool Kartoons. Currently, we have a few clips from the show, like the theme song. The theme song was preserved publicly in 2006 when user Miyakono SP uploaded them. He had actually written a large article about the show just a year before, confirming that he had tapes of not 1, but 2 full episodes. This article and video was where a lot of people got introduced to the show. Unfortunately, for some reason, those 2 episodes never surfaced, and though attempts to contact this user have been made, he's been out of touch with the Lost Media community since 2006. From 2006 to 2018, the Lost Media Hunt saw no clips of the show surface to the internet. For 12 years, people who wanted to learn about the show could only watch the theme song or consult the exceptionally few people who managed to watch the show back in 1989 or 1990. Yet, Lost Media fans persisted and searched everywhere. Finally, on August 4th of 2018, user Neil uploaded 49 seconds of footage from the show onto the internet. These mere 49 seconds of footage were part of a Fox Kids Thanksgiving marathon from 1989. Let's go ahead and watch the short clip.
Yeah, Oh, thank you, Koopas. King Koopa here. Just getting my Thanksgiving dinner table all ready, but I just don't know where to sit everybody. I mean, should I sit the boy, girl, or by species? You know, lizards and poisonous snakes over here, rats and bad guys over there. You know, one of those. God. Rats are such a good helper during the holidays. Yes. Oh, you have turkeys. Turkeys down here. Oh, well, let's see. Rats. Oh my goodness. Oh, you got lots of turkeys. Retso, stop them. They're stampeding. Turkeys everywhere. Look out, Retso, stop the turkeys. Retso. Oh, well, stay where you are, Koopas. More fun, prizes, and those Muppet baby bumpers.
Now, one thing you might notice about this clip and some of the other clips I'll show today is that they're just pieces from the beginning or end of episodes. That's because basically nobody taped full episodes of King Koopa's Kool Kartoons. They just taped other cartoons that ran before or after it, like the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, which was often broadcast right after. Unknowingly, these people caught bits and pieces of King Koopa's Kool Kartoons, hence why we have yet to even find a clip of the public domain cartoons playing. We only have bits of the beginning or end of the show. For another long stretch of time, that was it. It had been 29 years since the show originally broadcast, and in those 29 years, we had preserved less than 3 minutes of footage. An entire season of a TV show with a Nintendo IP, and we had only acquired 2 clips in almost 30 years. This would remain the case for another 4 years. May 2022. Now officially over 30 years since the show was broadcast and still no major progress in the lost media hunt. Miyakono SP's full episodes have yet to surface, and nobody else has found a small lucky hidden VHS tape stuffed with a short bumper from the show. However, that was soon to change, thanks to the Reddit user Sphinx, who I mentioned earlier. On Thursday, May 19th, 2022, they created this post titled, "I've had some footage of King Koopa's Kool Kartoons from when it originally aired. Didn't realize it was lost until someone PM'd me. Here's a preview." This initial post was accompanied by a 33-second clip, played on a TV and filmed by hand by Sphinx. It looks to be some sort of recap of the theme song being narrated. Let's check out some of it.
He followed him into that Fox TV station where he knocked over a car and took over one of the stations. And what's the deal with these kids chanting Koopa 430? Koopa 430. I don't know, Joe. We better watch Fox 11 today at 4:30 and find out what's coming down. Oh, and by the way, what's that big noise, huh?
So, it was about this time that I reached out to Sphinx. They happily explained to me that they were in the process of getting a high-quality VHS tape recorder so they could upload the clips for preservation. Sphinx also said that they only recorded these bits because they were trying to record the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, and just happened to catch little bits of King Koopa's Kool Kartoons, a show that Sphinx admitted they didn't really like. In the meantime, Sphinx went ahead and uploaded 2 more clips in slightly lower quality, the Vegetable Theater skit and the Baby Egg skit, both of which I've already shown throughout this video. As of right now, Sphinx has their recorder and has made some progress finding these clips. Sphinx should have these uploaded pretty soon, so check out their Reddit profile and also check back at the SeedButter channel for updates on the show periodically. I'll be covering the entire lost media hunt of King Koopa's Kool Kartoons from here on out. So, what happens now? Are we just going to end the search here with only a few minutes of bumper footage? Or will we go another decade without any progress? Well, that's what I need all of your help with. We have a few different avenues for finding this footage, and I'll go ahead and cover all of them. The first method of finding more clips from King Koopa's Kool Kartoons lie within the tapes from people who were on the show. These come in 2 forms. First of all, if you knew you were going to be on TV, you probably recorded it. But I also have conflicting reports, so this is unconfirmed, that kids in the audience may have received a tape of the show as they were leaving. Spider Mew didn't mention this, but other people on forums have suggested that these tapes were given out. Regardless of the nature of how these tapes came to be, it's very possible and almost likely that if you know someone who was on the show, they have a tape of the episode, so I implore you to reach out to them and ask them to look through their tapes. If you yourself were on the show and you're watching this right now, please look through boxes of VHS tapes in your basement for clips of the show. The community will absolutely appreciate it. The second way we might uncover more footage is through an archive. Thanks to some digging from users on the Lost Media Wiki, it was revealed that the UCLA Film Archive owns at least 1 episode of the show. However, it's being kept for research purposes and is not in public circulation. Due perhaps to some copyright reasons and the danger of damaging the copy, UCLA is not giving out the footage. I really don't know what to do with this information besides asking if any of my viewers happen to have a sort of in at the UCLA library to perhaps take advantage of it to get this tape released, though again, they've already said they won't release it without permission from the owner, so who knows if that'll actually be viable. Interestingly, this UCLA archive also supplied us with lots of names of people who worked on the show, so even though we don't have the actual episode, it was still a good find. It's possible there's another archive out there somewhere that has episodes of King Koopa's Kool Kartoons content, so if you can think of any, do some searching. It's also very possible that these episodes are stored in some Fox archive, but again, the community has yet to discover them. A third route to finding clips of the show would be to somehow get in touch with Miyakono, the user I mentioned earlier in this video. He does claim to have 2 full episodes taped, which would be extremely valuable, but he hasn't released them, nor has he been in contact with anyone using that account, to my knowledge. If we could find him, perhaps he could be the key to preserving 2 full episodes. The final, and perhaps most likely way of finding more episodes of the show is from you guys. Seriously, the Lost Media community in general. That's where we've gotten all our content from anyhow. And besides, people have found media that was much more lost than this, so I know you guys can help me out with this one. If you lived in the Southern California area during the 80s and 90s and think you might have any footage of the show whatsoever, please look through it for clips of King Koopa's Kool Kartoons. On behalf of the Lost Media community, I thank you for checking and being a part of this great search. Though as of right now we have an abysmally low amount of content about this show, I'm really optimistic for the future. It's quite possible that some full episodes of King Koopa's Kool Kartoons may never come to light, but if there are people making discoveries of old tapes 30 years after they've been recorded, who knows what's out there? For all of you watching this video, thank you for tuning in to the SeedButter channel today, and please hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoyed the video to support my small channel and to stick around for more updates about this show. For everyone in the Lost Media who has helped in any way to bring this footage we have to light, thank you. That's all I have for now, everyone, and good night.